Sorry, I've been mucking around with this for an awful lot longer than I was hoping I was going to be. And I'm just going to just quickly go and grab myself a drink and a quick smoke. So 10 minutes yourselves, guys, just to get yourselves settled in if you want to grab a drink or anything else before we get started. I do have a brand new board with me, so we'll have that up when I get back. I'm just going to take a few moments just to share this around and give other people a chance to get into the chat, start talking. I'm going to monitor the Facebook chat via my phone. However, I'm not going to be able to monitor the YouTube chat. So if you are in YouTube, I'm very sorry if I don't respond to your comments immediately. I might try and check both chats on my phone at the same time. But yeah, just 10 minutes, guys, to get yourselves sorted. Sorry it's taken so long for me to get on. Some really important news for you, though, and some positive information regarding everything that's sort of going on and the progress that's being made. So I'll be right back. Right, guys. Hope you're all settled in. I'm going to try and monitor both chat rooms on my phone. This is streaming on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So I'm going to flick between the two as possible. And if you do need to ask any questions, or you do want to get my attention, or confirm anything you want to say, just stick it down in the chat, and I will try and get to any of those comments as we go. I do believe my chat's going to be lagging a little bit behind the video, but we'll just go ahead and see what we can, come up with. It's quite interesting that this has been a bit of an awkward stream to get set up tonight. It's been a bit of a microcosm, I suppose, of what my life has been for the last month or so as a whole. You've probably noticed I've been struggling a little bit to keep up with my upload schedule. That has just basically just been a function of my circumstances, unfortunately. I've got a small cleaning job that I'm doing during the week, and you probably noticed I'm in a slightly different venue today. Well, that's because there is lots of effort being made both on the part of myself and my partner to try and fix things. Been problems with our relationship, considering everything that's been going on, and it's taken her a while to get her head around, I suppose, some of the decisions that I've made to take the path that I have. I think she's starting to understand now maybe the importance of a lot of the stuff that I'm doing. So looks like we're getting support from that quarter, but obviously I'm still having to try and do some work just for basic maintenance of life in general. I can't leave her to support me and her and her 3 kids on her own. I need to, obviously be bringing something in. So I've got a small cleaning job that I'm doing, maybe 10, 12 hours a week at the minute. Plus, unfortunately, travel's been the biggest issue lately since I've been without a car. I can't afford to run a car with not earning a lot of money. So that's been a lot of the reason why I've been struggling to make the content. A lot more goes into doing this than I think a lot of people would realise. The boards themselves, if it's a simple board, it might take me half an hour, 45 minutes to draw it up. On some of the more complicated topics where I've really got to wrap my head around a lot of details and figure out how to convey them all in a single video means that it can take me upwards of an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes to write up the board on its own. And then you're looking at 20 minutes, half an hour, probably more like half an hour single take in front of a camera for an average 20-minute video. And then there's all the editing time that goes along with that. So 20-minute video probably takes me 2.5 hours ish to edit to the sort of standard where I'm happy with all the cuts, and I've put all my little bits of branding in there and written up the title card and imagined that. And then there's even just thinking about the topics and meditating on them. Sometimes it can take me a couple of days to wrap my head around how I'm actually going to convey a lot of the information, and a lot of the stuff that I'm learning fresh myself. So there's study time involved in that as well. On top of everything that I'm doing for the channel at the moment, I'm going to try and keep this fairly free flowing. This is just for me, if I can remember so I can remember where I'm at. Lots of other things that are going on besides that. So I mean, let's start talking about the UCT. I'm now involved with them. I've been provisionally, suppose, selected as a founding trustee, which is quite a quite an important position. And that's been verbally approved to me. So it's an honorary position for the moment by the two Michaels, Michael Urbanissi and Michael O'Dara. I'm now in the process of setting up a trustee meeting whereby we can get all the existing trustees together in a Zoom meeting or a conference call of some sort, and I can start to figure out what level people are willing to get involved. I mean, if there's existing trustees who already understand how it works and they're willing to step up from a small community to a county level, whereby we can very quickly start to assemble something that looks like it represents all of the land and soil of England and Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland. I mean, that's the other issue we've got at the moment, is that the PUB itself, as far as I'm aware, and I'm prepared to be corrected on this, the People's Union of Britain is only covering the island of Great Britain. It doesn't cover Northern Ireland. Now, I see that being as a problem. I mean, not necessarily that we have to extend the PUB, but we do need something else that is going to provisionally oversee the dismantling of the United Kingdom, which includes Northern Ireland. We don't just want to dump the Northern Irish off there on their own. So it's certainly something that we need to start discussing as a community. Like, do we have an entity that temporarily, represents Great Britain and Northern Ireland until we can sort something out with the Irish by which they, recognise Northern Ireland as another part of Ireland once again? I mean, I'd love to reunite that and sort all that shit out. There's so many. The biggest problem that we've got at the moment is that there's been so many years of subjugation, and there's so many layers and layers and layers of bullshit that I've got to try and figure my way through to get back to what is the actual original land and soil jurisdiction of this nation. As Anna von Reitz pointed out in one of her recent video posts, and you can find lots and lots of material from Anna von Reitz on the Ed Movius, I believe, Ed Movius YouTube channel. Go and check him out. He's cutting up clips of various Zoom meetings with Anna where she's speaking about specific subjects, and she's talking about, in this particular one, the fact that the UK government actually closed our land registries. Sorry, our land recording offices, not our land registries, our land recording offices in the United Kingdom. And they basically denied that the land and soil jurisdiction exists at all, which is why you're hearing an awful lot of these comments from people who've tried to use common law, whereby the police are being told that common law doesn't exist and statute law stands above it. So they're being dishonest to our own police force and our own judges by denying even the existence of land law, and it's that we need to reconstitute. Anybody who is actually interested, let's talk about sort of what I'm looking for from people here. I'm going to have to cut off my content for a couple of weeks. This is the hashtag real talk bit. I've got too much on my plate at the moment. I can't manage the YouTube channel and instigate the reconstitution of the British land government at the same time. There's too much work that's going on at the moment, and I'm not saying I'm going to completely shut down, but what I am going to say is that for the next couple of weeks, I would expect there to be little to no content. The upload schedule, along with everything else that I'm trying to achieve at the moment, besides getting involved with the trustees, I'm trying to put together a presentation for them whereby I can give us a roadmap. Actually, I'm going to briefly spell out for you today, a little bit later on in the stream. But basically, I've got so much going on. The upload schedule is just another thing that is potentially slowing me down from doing the really, really important work. And I know there's a lot of people who watch my my Facebook stream on Saturday. If you ask who that was, with me knocking my camera over and destroying my lapel mic, I've got a new one now. Got a new one. I did get 5 people contact me, 5 people from the United Kingdom. I think there's at least one person in Wales, and that's Dean. And thank you to everybody who has contacted me via my Gmail account that I linked in the YouTube, the last Facebook stream. These are people who are actually interested in becoming trustees at county level, which is fantastic. We're going to need all the sovereign counties of the United Kingdom reconstituted under trust, with the people as the ratifiers of those trusts, the guarantors of those trusts, and the beneficiaries, the grantors of those trusts and the beneficiaries. So we operate and we hold all 3 positions. We grant the trust the right to be a trust. We are the beneficiaries of that trust, and those of us who choose to engage in the actual management of that trust will be the trustees. That's a position of responsibility. It's not a position of privilege. Eventually, I would imagine that a trustee's position would be a paid position, because it's going to require, a certain level of work. I mean, we'll obviously automate whatever we can, wherever we can, and try and limit the need for, lots and lots of bureaucracy. Keep everything as simple as possible. But obviously there's going to necessarily need to be at least some level of complexity if we expect to organise ourselves on a national level and potentially an international level when we're talking about the United Kingdom, or the People's Britain, or whatever it is we decide eventually to call it. So yes, I'm going to have to take a break from my content. Now, when I do come back, which I will, a couple of weeks, maybe 2-3 weeks, I wouldn't expect it to be much longer than that. I'll be coming back with a blog. So for anyone who prefers the written word to the spoken word, and the video medium, and would be able to actually read on my blog there, I'll give a little bit of a sort of a biography of me, and I'll try and cover a lot of the subjects that I've covered in my YouTube channel, but obviously in the written format it would be slightly differently organized, I suppose. So we'll have a blog involved with that. For all of those out there who have offered to support me, thank you very much. I cannot be more grateful for that wonderful offer, and I'm going to provide an avenue for people to do that via a tips jar. I think I'll tie that into the blog, so anybody who does like my work will be able to go over there and contribute to me personally, which would be very much appreciated if you do want to do that. I'm going to be doing more than just getting in touch with these trustees, though, because my goals is to provide a method for us to very, very quickly populate all the land trusts. So very, very quickly fill them up with people who are willing to say, right, I am no longer a British citizen, I am a British national, I'm standing on the land and soil, I am in a place where I cannot be touched now by maritime law. And we're going to use a combination of the existing UCT documentation, which may be edited, I don't know, we'll have to see how that sort of pairs with Anna von Reitz's work. The reason I think it's very important to integrate what she does is that it's known by her to be able to stand up in their courts, and it places us back on the land and soil jurisdiction, which does actually exist. It's just, they're just denying that it exists in the first place, and we need to be responsible for reconstituting that. In order to reconstitute that, we need to have our own lawful records. So again, I'm talking about mobile recording offices here. My initial plan is to get, and I said this in a previous video, but I'm going full hell for leather with this now. I'm going to put this as a proposal to the UCT in greater detail and cost it and everything. But I'm looking for a van and a caravan whereby I can rip the guts out of said caravan and turn it into a mobile office stroke camper van. My idea then is that based off that, I can go and get anybody who is ready to become a trustee and therefore a coordinator and recording secretary for their county, where they can then start recording everybody else's lawful documents. At the minute, the way everything's set up with the UCT, it's actually quite difficult to get the people in the right place for it to happen. So you can become a UCT member. However, I'm trying to expedite that process as much as possible. initially starting off with one of these mobile offices, which I'm prepared to run myself if necessary. It is also possible that I might be able to delegate that to somebody else if the need is that I stay in one place and keep putting out this content and keep informing everybody of what's going on and keep teaching everybody about how to achieve it, while operating as a recorder in my local area. However that happens to work, I want to get at least one person out on the road able to go and visit people. And when people say, I want to become a trustee, they can go, brilliant, turn up, there's your paperwork, sign it, where are your witnesses, there are your witnesses, get them to sign it, boom, bang, bosh, stamp, off we go, there we are. That person then goes off and there is the recorder for their county. Potentially up to 3 people doing this if necessary. If we can get, if there's anybody out there who has the ability to do this already, please get in touch with me. You can email me at fanfarefortheconscious@gmail.com. I will be taking any interest from any interested parties. If you want to be a county coordinator, please email me at that address. I will send you the existing UCT document, as well as a layout of what I'm trying to achieve and how we're going to achieve it. What I need now is a group of people who are going to be ready to pull the trigger. So the moment I get out of this meeting with the trustees and we've got a solid plan that is agreed upon by the existing UCT trust, that we can pull that trigger immediately. And within days, I can start getting people stamped up, getting people documented up, and getting them ready to start doing exactly the same thing in their local area. Like I say, I've already had 5 people that have emailed me. I know of at least 2 other people in my local area who I'm fairly certain would be willing to take on this role, though they've not expressly replied to that email yet. There's definitely one, and I'm pretty sure 2 or maybe even 3 more. So we're talking 8 people there already. Now let's presume, and again, I've not got into the details yet. I've not figured out exactly how we're going to draw the lines, how far we're going to roll the clock back. There's all sorts of details that need to be fleshed out, and I need a week or so to really get my head around the details without the pressure of doing this channel. But yeah, that's already 8 people. If there's 50, let's say 50 counties we need to bring together in England, and Wales and Scotland, let's call it 60, then we're already more than 10% of the way there. More than 10% of the way. And 60 people is not an awful lot. 60 people who are actually willing to do something about this. And you don't even need them all to be trustees. You would need at least one trustee and at least one beneficiary in each community trust. Because for it to be a community trust, there has to be 2. Wherever more than one are gathered. That is a lawful gathering. That's a convention. Okay, so 2 people, 60 counties, 120 people, and we've reconstituted the sovereign land government of Great Britain and the United Kingdom. And that's it. We build up from there. We can put in place our own constitution. We can set up our own land constabularies. I know Michael Urbanisia, and I know other people who are actually already talking about this as being a possibility. We've got martial arts studios. We've got, martial arts dojos. We've got MMA fighters. We've got, bouncers, security guards. There's all sorts of people out there who have exactly the sort of training to engage in this, lawful act. So we just need to get the right people together with the right skills. And don't think that any skill is minor. The basic skill that we're going to need right off the bat is the ability to read documents, to sign them correctly, and to stamp them. That's the first thing we're going to need, and anybody can do that. Any one of you could be that person who is liberating other people from that system. Any one of you. And I'm looking for a team ready to pull that trigger with me, because I can't do this on my own. I absolutely can't. There's 70 million people in the United Kingdom, thereabouts, 60 something, I think 68 maybe. I can't go around and notarize everybody. This has to become a snowball effect. 1 has to become 2, become 4, become 8, become 16, become 32. If you don't know how exponents work, doubling, if you were to put a single piece of rice on the first square of a chessboard and double it each time, by the time you got to the end of that chessboard, you need more rice than existed on planet Earth. So you're talking a very, very, very quick as long as we get the right people involved. So once again, I say to you, if anybody is actually truly interested in being part of this on a real positive level, I'm just getting up with the old YouTube comments here. If anybody really wants to get involved, then please send me an email, fanfare for the conscious. Sorry, let's try that again. fanfarefortheconscious@gmail.com. Tell me you're interested in becoming a trustee. I will send you the existing UCT documents. If you have already sent me an email, don't worry, I've got it and I'm aware. I'm just going to get everybody's together and I'm going to do it all in one great big one shot. So you've got an idea of where we're starting at and where we're looking to go. Those people who are getting involved will be getting personal updates of all the information that's going on. I'll keep them in the loop of who I've spoken to and who I'm connecting with and what I'm doing things with. So really, really interested in hearing from all of you. We need people willing to do action now. Michael Dickinson, thank you for the comments. Stay strong, brother. Do what you can when you can. Buttercup sending positive energy. Things are tough. Ben Misrahi, what are your thoughts on the movement for Scottish independence, ATM? Is there a Welsh independence movement? Ben, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about independence for all sovereign nations. And this is the thing that a lot of people are struggling. You can have nested layers of sovereignty, and that is exactly how nature operates. And this is exactly what we're looking to try and reconstitute. Think about yourself. You are one body collectively made of a collection of smaller bodies. Those smaller bodies, those cells of which you are made, are sovereign within their own boundaries. Only they decide what actually happens inside that cell. And all these cells work together to manage the common resources of the body, those resources which are not contained within any individual's boundaries, so that they can all get by. And what is this collective body managed by? It's managed by a mind. And a mind is an intellectual debate process. Thoughts, that's what it is. The presentation of ideas and the consideration of ideas and the coming to a conclusion. So that's how we build our own system. Each layer manages the common resources of that area. Because we have to accept that in a given area, even in the most densely packed city, there are still common areas of use. Yeah, everyone has their own patch of land that they individually own, but they don't own the street outside, and they don't own the road, and they don't own the sewer systems, and they don't own the wires, the electricity power lines. They don't own the street lights. These are all things that are in the common territory, and that is what is managed by the common mind. Yeah, and that builds on each individual level. People within a household. Yeah, everybody has individual things they own within the house, but they all collectively live in the house and they have collective resources of the house. As a family, you don't have food that's specifically one person's in most cases. So food is a shared thing. Yeah, food's something that you all consume. So, the adults figure out how to manage that. The same, at the level of a parish or a town or a city or a county. Each individual entity is sovereign within their boundaries, but there are also common resources that are shared on a greater scale, and on a greater scale, and on a greater scale, and on a greater scale. For example, does a county necessarily own all the water that is moving in the river which goes through it? What if the source of that river is in another county? Therefore, we need a greater body to manage those collective resources. Lakes, rivers, the earth itself, not the soil, not the bit that we live on, the deep mineral resources. Who manages that? Are you responsible for every bit of land from, the infinite up to the infinite down? That's an awful lot of responsibility for a single landowner. We need to start thinking about things like this. And this was where we require greater and greater bodies. And as long as each of these greater bodies recognizes that its job is to serve the smaller bodies of which it is made, then it functions correctly. And this is why we use a trust. Trust, because that is a collectively owned entity. It's held in trust. Ultimately, we don't even actually own any of our molecules. We're only really holding them in trust for future generations. Your time here is finite. You're looking after your assets to hopefully then pass them on to your kids, right? That's what inheritance is about. It's this understanding that it's this impermanence of possession. That we're all ultimately caretakers of the land. And that we need to hold that land in trust, not only for the people as a whole and for common good, but for the future good. The good of the children that will come before us, the grandchildren, the many generations which will come before us. And that is the purpose of the trust method of operating a government. So yes, Ben, in terms of sovereignty, yes, Scotland would be sovereign territory. It would be sovereign territory of the Scottish. Wales would be sovereign territory. It would be sovereign territory of the Welsh. The Welsh would be responsible for what goes on the land and soil of Wales. However, on the greater levels, there does need to be this larger part of management. There will be rivers that flow from Wales into England and from England into Wales. And for that, we need a collective body to make sure those waterways are looked after. Ultimately, you've got to realise that all interactions in a society have got one of two functions. They're either private trade between two individual sovereign bodies, or it is common management of shared resources. That's the two different levels on which we're operating. And the trustee's job is to facilitate that private trade, to allow it to occur equitably and safely. And secondly, to safeguard the common lands. And this is why I implore people, everyone's heard of the Magna Carta, forget the Magna Carta, forget it, unless you're talking Magna Carta 2020. But forget Magna Carta. Look at the Charter of the Forest, because that still defined the rights of the free man, the man who chose not to live on royal lands. As long as you're living on royal lands, you're living on the Crown Corporation. We've got to reaffirm our land jurisdiction, because otherwise we're defined as being on a ship in the middle of the ocean. And that just comes from taking back your right to self-govern, rejecting their presumed authority, rejecting their jurisdiction and reasserting the land jurisdiction with lawful records. So if any judge ever tries to question us, we follow the process which has been laid out on the American States Assembly website in the Chart Your Course, Correct Your Status drop-down menu. Go and check that out, read right down to the bottom. She even explains exactly how you use your documentation in court. And if they do try and question further beyond that, say, well, what do you mean Britain doesn't exist? Britain with an O. Britain with an O does exist. Here are our lawful records. You can find the fact that I've been recorded as being a British national for a long time. I'm not a British citizen, I'm a British national, and I stand outside of your courts. I stand on the land. I do not stand in the ocean. Anyway, love these ideas. Thanks for the explanation. Lots of offers for emailing. Happy to offer some support from Wales if needed. Fantastic, Buttercup. I think they've actually disappeared from the live now, but that was really, really good. Need more representatives from Wales. Have we got anything else going in the old Facebook chat? No, lots of thumbs and hearts though. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. So yeah, I'm just looking to wind down. I've been talking at you for a while now, and I never intended this to be a particularly long stream, just keeping you guys up to date. The Lawful Convention roadmap. This is the last bit. This is the last bit. This is how we achieve it. So we start with one mobile office, maybe take that to 2, maybe take that to 3. If there's anybody out there who's willing to offer a van that's, doesn't have to be new, an old van is fine, as long as it, as long as it'll run, and we can tie it up and it's worth, running around in for a couple of years. Anybody's got an old caravan they're willing to donate to the cause, would absolutely love to hear from you. Doesn't have to be cash donations. Anybody who's in my area who's a mechanic, or anywhere in the UK who's a mechanic, who might be willing to offer his services as a donation in terms of getting this van running. There's lots of skills that people can offer. If anyone's an electrician and wants to help me wire the thing up, if anybody's got solar panels, anybody who's got caravan showers, anything that you think might be useful to a project like this, please, bear me in mind, throw me an email. I would love to hear from you. I'm interested in any support. The quicker we club together and make this happen, the quicker it goes. So I'm thinking 1 to 3 of those to whiz around the country and get every single county recorded as being assembled on our documents, so we can prove it in court if necessary. Yeah. Once we've got that, we can set up temporary offices. I'm thinking, a little wooden cabin, portable office, whatever it looks like, doesn't matter. As long as we can get an internet and connection in there, and get a computer in there that'll connect to our own servers, because we do need to have our own actual server. We don't want anybody to be able to just flick the switch and turn us off. We need our own server. I think we might actually have that in the American States Assembly. Anna von Reitz has offered in an email to me that they're willing to provide the digital side of the recording, which is absolutely fantastic. We don't even actually need our own servers. All we need is computers in these offices that can connect to it, so it can all be done there and then. These temporary offices will have one or maybe multiple recording secretaries with the keys for those offices, and whenever somebody wants to get themselves signed up, they will be there to stamp the documents, to see all the witnesses and witness everything being performed, lawfully, make sure that everybody knows what they're signing up for, what they're recording themselves as part of, doing all that sort of vetting work. And once we've got one of those in every single county, then we can start really, really amplifying our numbers. This is again only limited by the speed with which we can start to get people papered up. That is the limiting factor here. How quick can we get people papered up and recorded lawfully? Because that's the key. The weight behind our voice is increased the more people sign on to this, the more people who record themselves as being sovereign Britons and not British citizens, British nationals. So we're looking at, again, one trustee, at least one trustee and one beneficiary. So if you're, if you've got a wife, that could be you and your wife, or you and your husband. You could be the trustee, they could be the beneficiary. It's as simple as that. It could be you and your friend, it could be you and anybody else. The more trustees we have, the more people we have actually trying to manage this and trying to push this. So anybody interested, it could be 2 trustees, because every trustee acts as a beneficiary and also as a grantor, I believe. Again, I'll have more information on this in more details after I've spoken to the trustees of the UCT and figured out exactly how we're rolling this out. Again, off the back of that, then we get ourselves a hub convention centre. I'm talking like a decent sized building where we can literally bring all the people in. We don't even necessarily need to do our meetings in person initially. We can do them all as portions of Zoom meetings. England comes to a convention, Wales comes to a convention, Scottish comes to a convention, and Britain comes to a convention. Hopefully Ireland gets involved as well. With the 2 islands that are right next to each other, we might as well have some sort of union between us. I would love to see a People's Union of Britain and Ireland. That would be, sort of heading towards endgame material. So yeah, convention centre with our own servers for managing our own software and our own recording systems, anything like that. Coordinating the various constabularies that we'll set up. We'll set up county constabularies of our own police forces. We'll start to set up our own road management, any of the services that people are normally used to. That's what we will look to provide. So we will need people who are able to maintain power lines and maintain gas lines and whatever else. And so many different skills are going to be involved here. Don't think that you've not got something to offer. Everybody's got something to offer this. Everybody. Even if you're just interested in being a trustee or a beneficiary, then please email me. I will send you out the UCT documents so you can have a look over it. I've been given permission to do that. And yeah, convention room where we can all actually meet, have our actual conventions, our own version of Parliament, I suppose you could call it, but it wouldn't be Parliament, it would be a lawful convention, which is very different. There's no black and white there. People are able to, as sovereign counties, opt in and out of treaties as they see fit. Again, like they say, there's no pressure on any lower entity to be ruled outside of its jurisdiction. The larger entities only deal with whatever affects multiple counties and, affects the whole nation. Training centre as well, so people can, figure out how this all works and start to come to a new understanding of the difference between land jurisdiction and soil jurisdiction and common law and maritime law. It all needs to happen, and we need to start looking like we're organised. Thank you very much for watching. If indeed you still are, take care of yourselves, guys. I will be back with you in hopefully a couple of weeks with a lot more information. Looking forward to getting any emails from you. And I will, anyone who does email me and does want to take on this role of being a trustee, I'll make sure I keep you up to date of all the details of my work so that you can verify it, because this is not my trust. This is our trust, and I'm going to need you guys to help me pull the trigger. Peace out.